is not far off. It was actually showing around 10 o'clock, that line moving in. You'll see this is from the HRRR, and it's showing right there at 11 o'clock, so it's not far off. But the one thing the model does show is overnight tonight, look at this coverage of rain. It just really starts to pick up here overnight tomorrow morning. Just a lot of wet weather around early in the day. Could we see a strong thunderstorm? It's a possibility, but that risk is very marginal for tomorrow. We'll stay alert for that, but also alert for the risk of flooding. If we do get some pockets of heavier rain, some of these downpours decide they just want to slow down on us tomorrow morning, that's not a good thing, because after all the rain that we've had, easily it wouldn't take long for some trouble spots to develop with the flooding issues. But the thing tomorrow is most of the rain happens early in the day, and we enjoy some breaks by the afternoon. Looks like all this comes in for the first part of the day. Could we still see some leftover scattered showers late tomorrow? It's possible, but you'll notice after tomorrow morning, the coverage is more scattered, especially into the day on Friday as well. But we do have that chance for steadier rain, storms returning tonight. One more round possible on Friday. Right now, it looks very spotty as far as the coverage goes. And then finally, a sunshine Saturday on the way. It looks like some improvements coming up as we look ahead to our weekend, and watching late Sunday, maybe an isolated shower. But again, tomorrow morning, plan for those higher rain chances, and we'll talk a lot more about going beyond the 7-day forecast and checking out the full 10-day that's coming up. But as we get ready to close out the month of May, meteorologist Megan Thomas joins us now with the Weather Extra on how many days we saw a day one outlook, severe weather outlook this month, and those current rain totals for the month of May.
If it has felt like we have seen a risk for thunderstorms each and every day this month, we have. You wouldn't be wrong, except for 2 days, the 4th and the 5th. We had a little bit of a break then, but this is the Storm Prediction Center's day one convective outlook for the National Weather Service out of Birmingham, okay? So this is for much of central Alabama. This is from the Iowa Environmental Mesonet. Look, from the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd to kick off the month, we had back-to-back days with either a slight or enhanced risk. Had a little bit of a break on the 4th and the 5th, but after that, the 6th through today, we've seen at least a risk for thunderstorms, a slight, marginal, or enhanced risk. And I can guarantee it, we're going to have another one issued tomorrow, but then maybe we'll end the month of May on a drier note by the time the weekend rolls around. Now, tornado warnings issued for the month of May for Alabama. Pretty interesting setup here. We have 4 National Weather Service offices that cover Alabama. You've got Huntsville, Birmingham, Mobile, and then back down towards Tallahassee, which does cover portions of South Alabama. Between all 4 of these National Weather Service offices, they've issued 46 tornado warnings. Now, on the other hand, severe thunderstorm warnings, it looks like all of central and north Alabama, not a county has been spared. Between these 4 offices, Huntsville has issued 67 warnings, Birmingham 72 severe thunderstorm warnings, Mobile 33, Tallahassee 17. That totals 189 severe thunderstorm warnings for just the month of May. And with all these warnings comes a lot of rain. The rain totals for the month of May have been so impressive. Tuscaloosa has picked up over a foot of rain, over 13.5 inches of rain in Tuscaloosa. Birmingham at 10.25, just a little bit over that, 10.35, and Anniston almost at 10 inches. That is well above where we should be for this time of year.
And from yesterday's storms, officials at the Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, well, we've got confirmation from the National Weather Service in Huntsville of an EF0 tornado striking that area, heavily damaging a building there at Redstone Arsenal. There was a tornado warning yesterday. It popped up and it was on the lower end of the scale, but we saw a brief circulation there. Everything in the building was old property being processed for disposal, like old furniture and equipment. No one was in the building at the time of the storms.
Well, Wes, switching gears here a little bit, we've been so focused on the wet pattern that it feels like we haven't really been as bothered with the heat. Of course, the humidity's been there, but one benefit of the rain, it's really been helping to keep temperatures down. We do want to give you a first alert, though, that as we look ahead to next week, with the rain taking a back seat, we could begin to see temperatures climb in the forecast. So for tomorrow and Friday, because we still have some fairly decent rain chances in the forecast, especially for Thursday, we've got highs still holding on just near 80 degrees. We're talking upper 70s, maybe low 80s in some spots. But you'll notice as we get into the weekend, we begin to get on the other side of that 80-degree mark, and then it looks like we could begin to see a warm up as we get into next week. So we're talking mid 80s. That's actually around average for this time of the year. So with this wet pattern we've been in, some days have been running below average because of the fact that we've had more clouds and rain around. But we should eventually be seeing temperatures getting at least closer to average, if not warmer than average, as we get into later next week. Well, this comes as a new report is showing no sign of relief within the next 5 years when it comes to record-breaking heat. The World Meteorological Organization announcing this on Wednesday. They're predicting global temperatures will reach near record or record temperatures until 2029. The report also stating there's an 80% chance that at least 1 year between now and then could be the warmest year on record. Well, in 30 seconds, we continue to talk about the wet weather in the forecast for Thursday and Friday, plus take you on a trip with me around the world. We'll be right back.
And welcome back into Weather Extra. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt here with meteorologist Lauren Linehan. We're tracking some storms moving in from south to north, and we've had this boundary down into South Alabama, and that's where all that heavier rains shifted for today, but it all comes back tonight and into tomorrow morning. And we're watching these storms. Presently, what we're seeing in South Alabama is non-severe, but there's some lightning in here. I'm seeing around Monroeville. If this line holds together, you can see some times there, arrival times around Demopolis at 8:19. So giving you the first alert time of 8:19 Demopolis. You can see around Meridian at 7:57. And from there, after 8:30, if this holds together, some of that rain could push even further north towards Utah, Aliceville, Tuscaloosa, and points to the north. But a lot more rain coming up overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. All this is going to really start to sort of fill in across the state. There will be a lot of rain when you hit the road tomorrow morning. So wet weather to start the day Thursday, but some improvements coming for the weekend. And we'll talk a lot more about that coming up in your First Alert forecast.
Thanks, Wes. Well, check it out. I also saw some rain, and I didn't try to surf those waves, but down in Costa Rica, I went there for my honeymoon with my now husband, and we had an amazing time. Now, if you know me, I love weather, but I also love rainforests, volcanoes, and wildlife. So my husband, Matt, he was like, you know what? I think Costa Rica would be the perfect place to go on a honeymoon. You can see a sloth right there. He was right in our hotel. He was just chilling, hanging out, but it was absolutely incredible views there. We went to the Pacific coast, and then we also went and stayed a few days inland. You can see that is a volcano there, shrouded by clouds. We did go during Costa Rica's rainy season, but the cool thing about that volcano, Wes, the Arenal volcano, it actually erupted in 1968, and that was the year my parents were married. So just some really cool history there,
Man,
but it was beautiful.
It is. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous.
And I know you've been there before as well, Wes.
Yeah, the year I was there, interesting, it was the year 05 when we had Hurricane Katrina, and I was trying to get out of there to try to get back to cover Hurricane Katrina. It was moving in across the southeast, but from my time there, it just brings back so many memories. It's just, it really is a gorgeous place, but it was around this time, like you said, the rainy season sets in this time of the year.
Yeah, so I was thinking of you guys, and I'm like, no offense, I'd rather be in Costa Rica with the rain than here, but I know you guys have been so busy with all of the active weather here, so I'm just so appreciative that I was able to go and enjoy my honeymoon. And Costa Rica, fun fact, 6.5% of the world's animals live in Costa Rica. And it's a very small country, so it's very diverse with their ecology. Well, as meteorologists and scientists around the world continue to bring about new ways to gather weather information, a new quest has taken them to the top of the world. Dr. Baker Perry and his team are building weather stations in extreme locations all over the world, including on Earth's highest peak, Mount Everest. CNN's Derek Van Dam spoke with Perry to learn more about this mission.
I'm back on Everest for my 4th expedition.
It's an ambitious scientific project that has taken this team of researchers to the most extreme environments on Earth.
We set up a network of weather stations from 12,500 feet all the way up to 27,000 feet. Hi, everyone. Baker.
Tasked with a single objective to study the impacts of a rapidly changing environment from the world's highest locations.
Explain to me just the ultimate goal of what you are trying to achieve up there.
Our weather station network is really well poised to monitor and provide valuable data to make better projections of how the glaciers will respond to climate change.
I spoke with National Geographic explorer and Nevada State climatologist Dr. Baker Perry during his most recent expedition back to Mount Everest.
We know more about the weather on Mars than we do on the highest peaks of the Himalaya here on our planet. It's critical to have a station here on the glacier.
It's a mission that began in 2019, documented by the National Geographic and Rolex Perpetual Planet Everest expedition.
This is critical in the context of climate change and water resources, and the fact that we've got hundreds of millions of people that live downstream from these water towers that sustain the communities.
Vital, too, for other environmentally stressed regions across the globe, including Argentina, where in February, Dr. Perry led researchers on a similar mission in the Andes, to Aconcagua, the highest peak in the Americas. The Waiwa Project, an international collaboration between the U.S., Argentina, and multiple research institutions, installed weather stations along the mountain glaciers to monitor conditions and added a crucial link in collecting meteorological information around the world.
The weather station network is critical for improving our understanding of climate change.
All right, welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Tomorrow, there is a marginal severe weather risk in place. Again, a lot of rain, some storms coming back overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. The one thing we got to watch out for is a risk for some gusty winds with any strong storms that develop. It's on the low end of the scale, as you can see. Maybe some quarter-size hailstones with any storms that develop, but eventually this is just going to evolve into a lot of rainfall and just a soggy start to the day tomorrow. But flooding is another concern, of course, with all the rain we've had recently, but hopefully things move along fairly quickly in the morning. There is a little bit of rain out there, a couple of pop-up showers here locally. We zoom way in northern Shelby County, and there is a little pocket of rain that's popped up around Lawley, a little pop-up shower. Next couple hours, we still could see an isolated shower, but the heavier stuff's down into southwest Alabama. This is down around Thomasville, Grove Hill, Jackson, and Clark County, Alabama. There's Highway 43. You can see over towards Monroeville, a bit of lightning. This is way south of our area at the moment, but this could hold together, and if it continues on that track to the north, it's riding along that boundary. You can see it's all kind of surging back to the north, all that moisture. What we're going to see is some of this could reach places like Demopolis as early as 8:30 this evening, so giving you that first alert. And again, there might be some lightning, some heavy rain with some of these storms if they hold together, but eventually all of this is going to build in from the southwest. We're going to see a good coverage of rain. You'll see it in the model data here. There's that first little wave. You see that line as it moves north, but look at all this rain and all this moisture that surges in here. Looks like a soggy start to the day tomorrow, and again, we might see another first alert weather day. We're going to wait and see how this evolves here over the next several hours and throughout the overnight, but just know that there could be an increased risk for flooding. Friday, still could see some rain early in the day. There's one more wave with a front that moves through. It's not a lot, but as we look ahead, we'll have that chance for showers and storms early on, but sunshine coming back for Saturday, and actually Friday night looks like we're going to have some dry conditions, and then we'll be talking about dry weather into the start of next week. Meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us now with an outlook on this year's hurricane season and what we can expect as we head towards that first day of June.
Well, we're getting close to June. It happens Sunday, and that's the beginning of not only meteorological summer, but it unfortunately is the beginning of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. It normally starts June 1st. It will peak around September 10th and officially ends by November 30th. And it usually ramps up in August, September, and in October. Here's a list of the 2025 names. Of course, we cycled them over. If you get a storm that is historic, it gets retired, and then they replace that with another name. Andrea is the first name of the season, followed along with Barry, and you can see the rest of those names. Hopefully, we won't have to go through all of those, but of course, there's a chance we may have some above average activity going into this upcoming season. So on average, we'll get about 14 named storms. 7 of those become hurricanes, and out of those hurricanes, we'll see about 3 to 4 major hurricanes. Well, the forecast from NOAA that they released not too long ago, they're forecasting 13 to 19 named storms. 6 to 10 of those could become hurricanes, and out of those hurricanes, 3 to 5 could be major hurricanes, which typically a major hurricane is a Category 3 or stronger, so a Cat 3, 4, or 5. Looking out, one of the main ingredients tropical systems thrive on is the warm ocean waters. So you need temperatures of 80 degrees or greater to support tropical development. And we're definitely seeing that along the Bahamas and the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. But usually in the month of June, if we see tropical activity, it usually forms close to home. So we always watch the Gulf of Mexico and sometimes parts of the Caribbean and right off the coast of Florida near the Bahamas. That's usually the first spots that start seeing tropical activity. And sometimes it's from these decaying cold fronts kind of stall, and then areas of low pressure form, and they usually get weak systems in the month of June. One thing that we're sure of is the reason why we don't see tropical systems form in the eastern Atlantic or even in the central Atlantic usually during the month of June is because a lot of times we get a lot of dust coming off the coast of Africa, and that dust suppresses tropical activity. Of course, tropical systems need a lot of moisture to develop, and when you got dry air and dust, that limits that potential. And sometimes this dust can make it all the way into the southeast, and that can give us some really nice sunrises and sunsets. This is a future forecast of that dust, and notice it shows that dust trying to get into Florida by Monday, but notice not quite yet here in the state of Alabama. But with that said, you saw all that. That's going to really suppress and limit tropical activity over the next 7 days. So good news for that. But of course, we'll keep a close eye. I know there's going to be some long-range weather models that are hinting at tropical activity in the Gulf. If you see that on social media, that's just clickbait at this point. You need a consensus of the models. And if we start seeing a signal, we will definitely be the ones to give you that first alert. But I will say maybe by June, the middle of June, there could be a more favorable pattern and maybe see some tropical activity form somewhere in the Caribbean and the Gulf. But once again, we'll get there when that arrives. But until then, rest easy as the tropics remain quiet over the next 7 days.
And let's look beyond the 7-day now as we head into June. This is looking at the temperature outlook 8 to 14 days from now. June 5th through June 11th is showing above average temperatures. We've had a really wet pattern, and in some instances that has helped to keep the temperatures down. But it does look like as we head into June, we could once again be seeing the possibility of above average precipitation. And as Matt was mentioning, we really want to watch that closely for the potential for maybe any tropical systems developing closer to home. Nothing on our radar just yet, but we'll be sure to give you the first alert if we see the potential for any development. We'll have a final look at your forecast as we wrap up Weather Extra after the break.
And it is weather photo time, one of our favorite times. Our chief pilot, JP Dice, with a view above Birmingham, above the rain and storms yesterday.
Oh, that's gorgeous. And then how about this sunset from Alexandria from Rodney Frazier? Gorgeous views there.
Emma Hall, lovely sunset over Fort Payne, Alabama. Nice little glow, but nice to see some sunsets with this pattern we've been in.
It is, right. I'm glad some of you have been able to catch it. And then I know we also have one from Chet Walker from Italy. Wes.
Italy. Listen,
Yeah.
the First Alert Weather app works anywhere, right?
It does.
And
Wes.
a lovely view from Chet Walker in
Yeah.
Monte Rosso, Italy. So,
Gorgeous. I was
yeah.
telling Wes earlier that we got a lightning alert in Costa Rica from the First Alert Weather app,
There
and
you
it
go.
was right. I couldn't believe it.
follows you wherever you go.
Exactly.
Watch that app. Could see some rain tonight. We'll be showing you more at 9.